Okay, play Temple tomorrow. Really good team, excellent basketball team. Coach is, I think he's won like 493 games, so he's close to 500. Head coach for 26 years, extremely successful. Always had great teams. They've got very good basketball club. They beat Kansas by 30. I mean, they're really, really good offensive team that can score from different multiple spots. And, it should be a high-level game. High-level game. Both teams are right there in the thick of the league race. So we only obviously play each other once this year. So obviously just at this stretch and this time of the year, every game is critical. And same thing goes for tomorrow afternoon.
Hey, Coach, I know you're trying to shorten up your rotation, trying to put less people. What are some other things you're trying to tighten up with your squad going into the second half?
I think more so, I think for us, shortening the rotation just means that it's not going to be an exact science because, you got some guys that can play multiple positions. Maybe it's not a prototypical position, but you're trying to, sometimes if you're going deeper, you're going, 10 guys, let's say, you're taking away minutes from guys who are productive to try to balance it out. So I just think for right now, moving forward, and let me just say this, the shortening rotation, that doesn't mean the same 8's going to be every single time. It just, I think right now, I through my time, I've been more comfortable doing 7 or 8 guys, with the rotation. But that doesn't mean that 9 and 10 can't play. Guys, that doesn't mean they're the 9th or 10th guy on the team either. It just sometimes means we're shortening up a little bit. But that also means the rotation of the 8 or if you had to stretch it to 9 depending. But if that 8, maybe there's a guy or two not playing well and you got to take a guy out and move a guy into that 8. So that's just kind of how it goes. I think we're still free-flowing on the game, but per game. But I think right now moving forward, we want to, for me, I'm probably going to keep it a little bit tighter and just see how things go. Obviously, I'm going to play to win, so that doesn't mean things can change. And I don't think in coaching that you can sit there and say it's set in stone that something's going to happen and then kind of expect the unexpected. So you got to be prepared for both ways.
When you see Shaq play like that, I reckon some of that maybe is the competition. Do you try to, is it past the point of being like, listen, man, we need you? I mean, is there something you can do? You're like, we're getting down here.
Well, he played well, Matt. He had 16 and 7. If we have those type of numbers from him every game, that's going to really make us a tough out, the remainder of the year. But he's got to be at that level every game. So I'm believing he's turning the corner. He has turned the corner, and tomorrow will be an opportunity for him to continue that growth of turning that corner.
Josh, if you're in a situation where you only play a team once, like Temple, and you're both right there,
yep.
Top 5 get a bye, does that double the importance of this game? Because at the end of the year, you don't want to be right there with them, and then they get the
tiebreaker. Mike, I just think because of how the league is jumbled, I don't think you can put one game over importance of another game. I just think the way it is with 9 remaining games and the position that we're in, because we're trying to climb up. So we've got to just try to win as many as we can because it's not a situation, well, Temple's more important than East Carolina Tuesday because you can't drop that one either. And then you're at Saturday at South Florida, you can't drop that one either. I mean, you're at this point where you're trying to just keep climbing, and the best way to keep climbing is just try to win every game in front of you. And obviously, it's one game at a time, and just doing the best you can. And but there's no denying that us Temples is an important game for both teams. 1, it's the next game on the schedule. 2, like you said, if we play them once, and 3, we're right there in the thick of the league race. And that's just where it is. If you want to have any chance to compete for the league title, give yourself any chance, either us or Temple. You don't have a lot of room for error if you want to win the league title.
In a perfect world, would you have liked to see them twice with how good they are and that opportunity to get 2 top 50s instead of 1? Or?
I mean, I just think that's kind of how the schedule falls because it could have been they could have had them twice and maybe we don't play another team twice and it's the same thing. So it's just the way it fell, and that's how it's going to be because like next year we'll play at Temple in South Florida, we'll play here. So this is how the schedule will be for this year and next year. So we'll only get Temple for one next year. That's from my understanding based on league meetings on how they're going to do it. So that for 2 straight years, you kind of have the common opponent, home and away, and then the one game each.
What's been different about them with Jesse Morgan in the lineup, and why has he been so effective?
Jesse Morgan can really shoot the ball. I mean, he's a dangerous 3-point shooter, and he just opens up the thing. He spreads the floor for him because you got to guard him. I mean, DeCozy is really good. I mean, there's no denying that. Will Cummings is really good, and Morgan, he's a little different than the kid last year who graduated, but he's very similar in terms of a threat from shooting from 3-point range. I mean, he's a similar type of threat where you can't. What Culpepper was the kid's name last year? Was that? Yeah, the kid who he torched us both games. Or Culpepper, yeah. Pepper. I don't know where I'm thinking. I'm thinking UTEP. Yeah. He torched us a game too. Yeah. But Joe did a good job on him in UTEP. Yes, he did. I remember that vividly. So, but Pepper flat out hurt us both games, and I thought Cummings played really well against us here, as did DeCozy. So you're just really replacing Pepper with Morgan is really what it is, and they got pretty much the same perimeter guys.
So is it just a matter of running him off the line? I mean, you guys have last few games.
Yeah. Well, I don't think versus Jacksonville State we had trouble. I mean, they hit a couple shots that. I mean, we had a late shot clock, a guy or two who based on the scouting report, we said don't guard, and the guy who's 1 for 9 from 3-point on the year hits 2 of them. So they hit the one at the end. I mean, come on. So that's just – I've never been on a team where we've had more late shot clock bank-ins or guys who shoot under 20% make threes against us. But that's just how it's gone this year with a couple of those shots. So I don't think we guarded the 3 well versus East Carolina the second half. And obviously – Gonzaga hurt us from 3, but we're going to have to guard the 3 tomorrow, Grant. I mean, if that's a major part, is we're going to have to take out the 3-point shot.
Josh, do you sense any sort of pressure that your team feels? Not the pressure that was earlier this year with the fans, but the pressure of we have 9 games left, and the way the bar is at this program, we're supposed to make the tournament, and right now we're on the outside looking in. Have you talked to them about that? Do you sense that with them at all?
Well, Mike. There's only been 7 teams that have been to the tournament the last 4 straight years, and we're one of 7. So if it was that easy just to get to it, you'd have about 67 or 77. There's only been 7, and just by normal, graduation. I mean, there's going to be a cycle in college basketball where you're going to have an off year. When I say an off year, transitional year, where it's going to be a little bit rocky and bumpy, which this year started like that. So I understood coming in, we were young, new. This was going to be the year that we're going to be fighting to get in the tournament, but there was going to be it wasn't going to be an easy. There's never an easy road, but it was going to be a little bit more of a tougher road because of all the youth that we had. That's a different question, I think. If you were 3 straight years, 2 straight, 3 straight, 4 straight years of not getting a tournament, I think that's more of a question for that. I think being 4 straight tournaments. Which is only 7 programs have done that in the last 4 years. I think, and it's not like we're 8-14. We are 14-8 with one of the, toughest schedules in the country with the youth of our team. I mean, we're not out of anything, and we're right there. So I don't think it's not as much about there's any pressure, Mike. I just think it's for us building the right way, continuing to improve. I think you as the media want to see it, the fans want to see it, us continuing to improve. And because Temple's a good team, that gives us, we can see where the bar's at, or you're going to, on the road 2 games next week, and then you're coming back home, versus the defending champs, national champs in Connecticut. So, and obviously on and on. So, I think that's where the fans and the media, obviously myself, would like to see it. Make sure we're making the right strides. We can go in and win 9 straight games. I mean, we can go 9-0 in this stretch. You could also go 0-9. You can go 4-5, 5-4. But there's not a game we don't go into that you can't say Memphis can't win. That's the bottom line. We're good enough to go 9-0, but we also have to be able to play to go 9-0. Meaning we have to be great each game. And if you have an off night, you probably have a good chance getting beat. If we play really well each time we step on the floor, you know, I like our chances based on our guys.
I'm sure you saw Cincy, just kind of what's happened here in the league the last week. You kind of put a number on it in the past sometimes. What do you think that league, the regular season winner, how many losses do you think we're talking about?
You know, Jason, I had said at the beginning of the year, I had said 4 would win the league, 4 losses. I said this, 4 would win it for sure. 5 was probably a stretch this year, but I said 4 for sure. If you go 14-4, you're winning the league. I think Tulsa at this point has surprised everybody. I don't think it. Now, I'm going on record saying with Len Elmore at the media day in New York, when we had the round table and they asked me about, you know, the league and this and that. I said the sleeper team in the league is going to be right there, and I pointed at Tulsa. I said, I'm just telling you, they've got their whole team back. I know their team because we played against them in Conference USA back in the day. They're going to be really good. They're better than people think. But I don't think anyone had them. I think they're 10-0. Is it 10-0 or 11? 10-0 right now. So I think that's been the surprise. But I think if you kind of took out the surprise of that, now they still got a tough stretch remaining. But I did say 14-4 will win the league. I mean, obviously, if someone's 15-3, they're winning it. But you know, I did say 14-4 would 100% win the league, and I think right now there's still a lot of games left to be played. I mean, there's no question about that. So, 15-3 automatic, 14-4 I think wins you the league.
I remember
But somebody's got to knock off Tulsa. No one's been able to do that yet.
I remember last year after you guys played Temple, you talked about what they were building on for this season. I guess you haven't been surprised at all by what they've done.
Because I knew who was sitting out for him, and with Morgan and. You know, Bond, don't forget, Bond leads the American rebounds. You know, averages, you know, a little over 8 rebounds a game, so he leads the American Conference. I knew they had some guys coming in. And I just knew last year, like we beat Temple twice last year. And and unfortunately, Temple, the one year they just had a down year. You know, you look at Coach Dunphy's record. I mean, he's been so good for so long. There's probably 1 year of off year. If let's just say they were, because they're a top 50 team right now, you know, if that was last year what they projected to be, you know, you might say, okay, Memphis has 2 more top 50 wins last year. Instead of us getting that seed, you're talking maybe a 6 seed, and things are different. So, you know, it was just happened to be last year was just an absolute, you know, just a 1 year of their entire career of Coach Dunphy where it just wasn't his normal year, and they're back to who they are. And so this is what you'll see of Temple, a top 50 team every year, year in, year out.